Vienna, that majestic city where time waltzes rather than walks, where coffee is an art form and history whispers through every keyhole. And nowhere does it whisper quite as elegantly as at the Hotel Sacher. This isn't merely a place to rest your head, it's where emperors once plotted dynasties over chocolate torte, where Anna Sacher's French bulldogs patrolled corridors with more authority than some generals, and where even today the crystal chandeliers seem to hold centuries of secrets in their sparkle. While other luxury hotels pride themselves on stars and ratings, the Sacher measures its prestige in royal monograms and diplomatic whispers. Thus, in today's episode of So Luxury Travel, we explore the story of a hotel that turned chocolate into an empire and hospitality into high art. The Hotel Sacher stands opposite Vienna's state opera, like an aristocrat at permanent attention. My cousin's military academy would do well to study its posture. Residing in the prestigious Innere Stadt district, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Sacher commands the kind of location that makes other five-star hotels blush with envy. The Ringstrasse Boulevard embraces this historic core like a necklace commissioned by Emperor Franz Joseph I himself, replacing medieval fortifications with what would become Vienna's architectural crown jewels. Here, amid cobblestone streets that have felt the footsteps of emperors, the Sacher maintains its fin de siècle splendor from 1876. Grandmother's palace in Baden has a similar vintage, not that she'll ever acknowledge it. Pierre-Yves Rochon's recent renovations have introduced contemporary elegance while preserving the hotel's heritage, marrying tradition with modernity in perfect Austrian measure. Rich velvets and jewel-toned upholstery create the sort of salon atmosphere where Habsburgs would feel at home, while silk curtains frame views that haven't changed since the empire's glory days. The addition of 2 new floors, including a spa, caused quite the stir among preservationists, about as dramatic as last season's squabble over opera ball seating arrangements in my family's box. An art gallery showcases 19th century masterpieces that would make museum curators weep, while the Anna Sacher restaurant gleams with bright green and black furniture touched with gold. Anton Feistauer's paintings grace the walls beneath Lobmer crystal chandeliers, their craftsmanship matching the ones in our summer residence in Salzburg. The hotel's architectural dialogue between past and present creates something uniquely Viennese, a space that evolves while cherishing its heritage, much like the city itself. Rochon's interventions prioritize light and space without sacrificing the gravitas of history, creating an atmosphere that feels neither antiquated nor trendy. Every corner whispers stories of imperial grandeur, from the meticulously preserved historicist details to the modern amenities that wouldn't have been imaginable in Franz Joseph's time. The Sacher's position, facing the neo-Renaissance splendor of the state opera, creates a perfect symmetry of cultural significance. In the Innere Stadt, where every building seems to compete for architectural prominence, the Sacher maintains its dignity with the quiet confidence of old money. Stepping through its doors feels like entering a world where time moves more gracefully, where even the doormen seem to have inherited their elegant posture from generations of imperial service. This timeless elegance began with a 16-year-old apprentice chef and a chocolate cake that would reshape Viennese society, a tale as rich as the dessert itself. Every great hotel has its genesis story. The Sacher's begins with chocolate, royalty, and a 16-year-old culinary prodigy. In 1832, young Franz Sacher created a chocolate cake for Prince Metternich that would alter the course of Viennese culinary history, an achievement my pastry chef still attempts to replicate. By 1876, his son Eduard had transformed that chocolate legacy into the Hotel Sacher, built on the former site of the theatre am Kärntnertor. The timing proved impeccable. Vienna's 1873 World's Fair had sparked a luxury hotel boom, with establishments like the Imperial and Palais Hansen-Kempinski rising to accommodate the world's elite. Yet it was Eduard's wife, Anna Sacher, who truly elevated the hotel beyond mere accommodation after his death in 1892. Anna, often spotted with her French bulldogs and signature cigar, transformed the Sacher into the kind of establishment where aristocrats and diplomats felt more at home than in their own palaces. Her sharp business acumen matched her eccentricities. She understood that true luxury meant exclusivity, a principle some of today's hoteliers would do well to remember. The aftermath of World War I brought challenges that even Anna's legendary determination couldn't overcome, leading to bankruptcy in the 1930s. During World War II, the hotel served as British headquarters in occupied Austria. My grandfather often reminisced about diplomatic soirees held in its gilded rooms. Even a bombing by the Irgun in 1947 failed to dim the Sacher's sparkle, rather like an aristocrat maintaining perfect posture during particularly turbulent times. While other grand hotels suffered different fates, the Hotel Metropole's tragic transformation into Gestapo headquarters before its destruction, the Sacher emerged resilient. Today, under the stewardship of the Gertler and Winkler families, the hotel maintains its position as Vienna's crown jewel of hospitality. The addition of a rooftop spa in 2005 proved that even century-old institutions can evolve, much like when Great-Aunt Helena finally accepted telephone calls during her afternoon tea. This modern evolution stands in stark contrast to Vienna's oldest hotel, the Stephanie, which has operated since 1600, practically nouveau compared to my family estate, but impressive nonetheless. Throughout the centuries, as Vienna transformed from imperial capital to modern metropolis, the Sacher has remained a constant beacon of refinement. Each renovation and addition has been executed with the precision of a Vienna Philharmonic performance, ensuring the hotel's heritage remains untarnished. The Sacher's ability to maintain its standards through wars, bankruptcies, and changing times speaks to an institutional memory as rich as its namesake torte. You can still sense Anna Sacher's exacting standards in every corner. Her spirit lives on in the immaculate surroundings, though these days the cigars are confined to designated areas. After nearly 150 years of perfectionist hospitality, the hotel's rooms have evolved into something that would impress even its famously particular founder. The Hotel Sacher's 152 rooms and suites demonstrate precisely why my aristocratic aunts refused to stay anywhere else in Vienna. Superior rooms, spanning 27 to 39 square meters, establish standards that would make other five-star hotels nervously reassess their ratings. The junior suites expand to a generous 40 to 55 square meters. Reminds me of my first palazzo's dressing room, albeit with considerably more modern amenities. Underfloor heating in the bathrooms ensures one's feet never touch cold marble uninvited, while tablets stand ready to summon everything from room service to souvenirs. Each accommodation category reveals new layers of sophistication, from top junior suites to signature suites, some blessed with terraces overlooking Vienna's imperial skyline. The grand signature suites elevate luxury to an art form, furnished with pieces that would make several of my more acquisitive cousins rather envious. At the pinnacle sits the Madame Butterfly Suite, offering nearly 360-degree views of Vienna. My grandfather used to say only the eagles had better views of the opera house. Here, multiple living spaces flow into a private study, while a working fireplace adds the kind of ambience that makes winter evenings in Vienna feel properly imperial. The attention to detail extends beyond mere space. Each room features air conditioning that whispers rather than hums, and complimentary non-alcoholic minibars that understand true hospitality. Marble bathrooms feature separate showers and soaking tubs, the latter perfectly positioned for contemplating one's schedule of social obligations. The hotel's chocolate heritage infiltrates even the bath amenities. Their scent reminds me of childhood visits to my grandmother's private chocolate atelier. A full-service spa promises relief from the rigors of Viennese social life, while the 24-hour fitness center accommodates those who take their wellness as seriously as their Wiener Schnitzel. The salt steam room and sauna offer therapeutic indulgence that would have made even Empress Sisi extend her beauty regimen. Each floor reveals new touches of refinement, crystal chandeliers that have witnessed countless diplomatic whispers, and artwork that rivals several private collections I know. Even the corridors maintain a hushed elegance, their carpets absorbing footsteps like well-trained butlers absorbing secrets. The entry-level accommodations exceed most hotels' presidential suites, while the signature spaces redefine what residential luxury means in the 21st century. Speaking of luxury, the Sacher's impeccable staff and exclusive boutiques ensure that every whim is satisfied, whether you're craving their famous torte at midnight or seeking the perfect Viennese keepsake. The measure of a truly great hotel lies not in the quantity of its shops, but in the quality of its service. My butler at home would certainly agree. While the Hotel Sacher's boutique offerings focus primarily on their legendary torte and carefully selected souvenirs, its location proves far more valuable than any in-house mall. Kärntnertor, Vienna's premier shopping avenue, lies mere steps away, close enough for impromptu visits to Chanel, yet far enough to maintain the hotel's dignified distance. The Graben and Kohlmarkt present a parade of luxury brands and prestigious Austrian jewelers. My sister's collection of Habsburg-era pieces came primarily from the latter. For those seeking the famous Sacher-torte, the cafe and gift shop provide perfectly packaged slices of heaven, infinitely more elegant than attempting to transport an entire cake to your winter palace. Maria-Hilfer-Straße offers a livelier shopping scene, while the Naschmarkt presents gourmet delights that would impress even the most particular Viennese chef. But it's the staff that truly elevates the Sacher beyond mere luxury accommodation into something approaching perfection. They carry Anna Sacher's legacy of discretion in their DNA, as essential to the hotel as its chocolate recipe. The concierge team handles everything from securing opera tickets to arranging private jets with the kind of efficiency that makes royal handlers seem positively amateur. Each staff member moves with practiced grace, appearing precisely when needed and vanishing just as smoothly, rather like my grandmother's household staff during diplomatic functions. Their training program rivals some military academies in its rigor, ensuring that every interaction meets the exacting standards set by generations of aristocratic guests. Even the housekeeping staff operate with surgical precision, knowing exactly how each guest prefers their pillows arranged and at what hour they take their afternoon rest. The doormen recognize returning guests before they've stepped from their carriages, or Rolls-Royces in more modern times. Room service arrives with such perfect timing that your coffee never cools and your newspaper never wrinkles, a skill I've tried unsuccessfully to replicate in my own household. The hotel's career page speaks of top-class individual service, a rather modest way of describing what amounts to orchestrated perfection. Each employee receives benefits and training that ensure they treat the hotel as their home, which explains why they treat guests like extended family. Every request, no matter how unusual, is met with the same unflappable professionalism, whether you're asking for a midnight Sacher torte or requesting a private viewing of the Vienna Philharmonic. This dedication to service excellence extends from the front desk to the kitchen staff, creating an atmosphere where nothing seems impossible and every wish feels anticipated. The true brilliance of the Sacher's location reveals itself the moment you step outside, where the cultural heart of Vienna beats in perfect imperial rhythm. The Innere Stadt unfolds from the Sacher's entrance like a personal invitation to imperial Vienna. My great-grandfather's maps of the First District remain remarkably accurate. The Vienna State Opera stands directly opposite, its neo-Renaissance facade serving as the world's most impressive neighbor, far more agreeable than the Duke's new, modern artwork next door to my country estate. A mere 2-minute stroll brings you to the Albertina Museum, home to graphic art collections that rival several royal holdings I've had the pleasure of viewing privately. St. Stephen's Cathedral, barely 600 meters away, rises above the city like a Gothic prayer frozen in stone, its spire visible from the same angle my ancestors admired it centuries ago. The Hofburg Imperial Palace, a 10-minute walk through history, displays the kind of grandeur that makes other royal residences seem almost modest by comparison. Kärntnerstraße beckons with its luxury boutiques, though the truly interesting shops hide on side streets known only to those who've spent generations in Vienna. Karlsplatz, practically at your doorstep, connects to every corner of the city. Not that most Sacher guests frequently use public transport. The neighborhood reads like a who's who of European cultural heritage, each street carrying enough history to fill several leather-bound volumes. Morning walks reveal hidden courtyards and secret passages that tourist maps have yet to discover, places where aristocratic families still maintain their private residences. Local cafes serve coffee with the kind of ceremony that reminds you why Vienna wrote the rules of refined living. Several still reserve tables for families who've been patrons since Mozart's time. The Spanish riding school performs just around the corner, their Lipizzan stallions dancing to the same music that enchanted Marie Antoinette. Every other doorway seems to lead to a museum, concert hall, or palace. each with its own curator eager to arrange private viewings for distinguished hotel guests. Small antique shops tucked between grand boulevards often hide treasures that would make museum directors weep. My favorite piece of Habsburg memorabilia came from such an establishment. The cobblestone streets tell stories of emperors and artists, diplomats and composers, each stone polished by centuries of refined footsteps. Even the lampposts date back to imperial times, their gentle glow creating the same ambience that illuminated Strauss's evening walks. In the evening, the neighborhood transforms into a cultural salon, with opera-goers and ballet enthusiasts creating an impromptu fashion show on their way to performances. From this perfect vantage point, Vienna reveals herself not as a tourist destination, but as a living museum where the past mingles comfortably with the present. The Sacher sits at the center of it all, a guardian of traditions that other cities have long forgotten, proving that true luxury isn't just about thread counts and truffles, but about inhabiting history itself. With that, I'd love to see you in the comments. Have you visited Vienna before, or if you haven't, would you like to? I can't wait to hear your experiences, and thanks for joining me for another episode. Ta-ta until the next one.